Okay, how are you all? Fine. Now we will start. Answer your attendance. Afla,
Present, Miss.
Ajmina,
Present, Miss.
Amaya,
Present, Miss.
Atulya,
Present, Miss.
Risha,
Present, Miss.
Tish, Jyotish, Karthik,
Present, Miss.
Kavya,
Present, Miss.
Nachiket,
Present, Miss.
Neeraj, Ranjit, Vaishna,
Present, Miss.
Vaishnav,
Present, Miss.
Anjali,
Present, Miss.
and Shruti.
Present, Miss.
Okay. Rankit, Neeraj, and all. Okay. Now we will start our today's topic.
Yes, present करने.
Who, Rangit?
Miss present ആണ്.
Okay. Now listen, what we have discussed in the last class. Can anybody give a summary of what we have discussed in the last class? Jyotish.
Yes.
Okay.
Organization
of layers. Okay.
layers.
Then.
Application, precision layers, section layers.
Okay. Now mainly we were dealing with the OSI model. OSI model, how many layers you have got?
7 layers.
7 layers. What are the different layers in an OSI model? Atulya,
Application.
what are the different
Vertical.
layers in? Yeah, tell.
Vertical and horizontal.
What are the different layers in the OSI model? You are telling about the communication. Two type of communications possible are the horizontal communication and the vertical communication. But I have asked, what are the different layers in the OSI model?
Application.
Yeah, tell.
Presentation.
Okay.
Session.
Then, this is the fourth layer.
Layer.
You will be telling the fourth layer. Jyotish.
Transport.
Okay.
Network.
Then, network.
Data link.
Data link.
And physical.
And physical. So these were the 7 layers. Thank you. Now these were the 7 layers of the OSI model. And last class we have discussed how the interaction takes place in an OSI model. What happens when a message is transferred from the source node to the destination node. And you have also learned what were the different functions of the 3 layers, the topmost 3 layers that are the user support layer. You have seen what are the different functions of the 3 layers like application, presentation, and session layer. Okay. Now, Shruti, what are the duties of the application layer? What are the functions of application layer?
It enables the user to access the network-specific services.
Okay, it enables or it helps in providing services to the user. Okay, thank you, Shruti. Now, Vaishnav, what is the function of the presentation layer? What is the function of presentation layer?
Hello.
Yeah, tell. What are the functions of presentation layer? Vaishnav.
Okay, functions अल्ले.
What was the first function of the presentation layer? Vaishnav? Yeah, tell. You remember what were the functions of the presentation layer? No. Okay, you have to tell me once you end this class. Now, Karthik, what are the functions of the transport layer? I mean, sorry, presentation layer.
Concerned with the syntax and the semantics of information exchange between
Okay.
systems.
That you can call it as translation, right? Converting to one format to a common format that is suitable for the device. Then, what was the second function?
And function encapsulation and
What was the second function?
Translation, encryption, compression.
Yeah, that is the three important functions of the presentation layer: translation,
comparison.
and encryption.
Compression.
Doubt type with it.
Okay. Now, what are the functions of the session layer? Who will be telling? Drishya. What were the functions? Session layer.
Manage
Session management. Okay.
first it setups the connection, then manages, terminates,
Okay.
authentication,
Session management. What? And what? Authorization and
authentication.
Okay. That were the functions performed by the session layer. Now today we will see what are the functions of the fourth layer, that is called it as the transport layer. Very, very important, all these functions. Each layer you have to identify what are the specific functions that are performed by the each layer. So maybe some essay will be asked, describe about the OSI models and explain its function. So you have to write each point in an elaborative way. Now we will discuss what are the duties or the functions of the transport layer. Actually, transport layer, it controls the reliability of communication. It controls the reliability of communication. Reliability, what I mean is, it is responsible for the source to destination delivery of the entire message. Whatever message, you will be splitting it into different data units, and all these things should reach the destination in a correct way. Okay, so it is responsible for the source to destination. In other way, you can tell that it is responsible for the end-to-end delivery of the entire message. The meaning is you have different processes running in a machine. So if you want to exactly reach the correct process in the destination, now the transport layer will take care of that. So it is responsible for the delivery of a message from one process to another. Here process, I have just told, in a system you might be running many number of applications, right? So particularly to which application the data should reach, and that is taken care by the transport layer. Okay, understanding? It is responsible for the delivery of a message from one process to another. The meaning is, I have posted a letter to my cousin. So once it reaches my cousin's house, that is the function of one layer that we have not yet studied. What is who will do that? Okay, now once it reaches my cousin's house to the address of that house, that will be done by a particular layer. Now, if the letter reaches exactly to my cousin, that is taken care by the transport layer. Understanding? If to whoever I have written the letter, if the letter is reaching to the correct person, and that function is taken care by the transport layer. Okay. Now, generally, you have got three important duties of the transport layer. One is segmentation. When I tell, you have to just make a note of that. The main important functions or duties of the transport layer is, first one is segmentation. Second one is flow control. And the third one is error control. I repeat, the three different duties or functions of the transport layer are the segmentation, okay, now the flow control and the error control. Now, what is this segmentation? So you know the data is coming from the session layer. From the session layer, the data is transferred to the transport layer. Okay, now whatever data is received from the session layer, the transport layer, it will be divided. The data is divided into small units. And small units, you can call it as segments. In the diagram, you can just see how that, what is the meaning of segments. So data that is coming from the session layer, it is divided into small data units called segments. Now, what does each segment contain? Now, each segment contains three things. One is the port number. The other one is the data unit. And the third one is the sequence number. I told the segment, it contains a port number, the data unit, and the sequence number. Now, what is the importance of that port number? Port number helps to direct each segment to the correct application. This is what I told, and process to process. So, whatever application, many applications will be running in the host as well as the receiving machine, sender as the receiver side. So if it is exactly reaches to the correct application, then that is done with the help of port number. So port number helps to direct each segment to the correct application. Right? Now, next is the sequence number. Now the sequence number is its function is to reassemble the segments in correct order. You won't be receiving the segments in a correct order. So what the importance of sequence number is, you can arrange it in a correct order to form correct message at the receiver side. So sequence number helps to reassemble the segments in a correct order to form a correct message at the receiver side. Right? So understanding what is the function and what do you understand by the term segmentation? So segmentation means the data that is coming from the session layer is divided into small data units. And that small data units are called segments. Now each segment contains three things. One is the sequence number, the port number, and the data unit. Now port number, what is the importance of port number is it helps to direct each segment to the correct application. Okay. Now sequence number helps to reassemble the segments in correct order so that it reaches correctly at the receiver side. Okay. So the receiver can able to read the correct message. Okay. Now you have the data unit. Okay. So this is the first duty of the transport layer. Now, the second duty is called it as the flow control. Now, what is the meaning of flow control? Flow control means it controls the amount of data being transmitted. Transport layer, it controls the amount of data being transmitted. As an example, you consider that your mobile is connected to a server where the server can transmit the data with a speed of 100 Mbps and your mobile can process the data at 10 Mbps. I'm just telling an example. What do you understand by flow control? Consider a server and a mobile. The server can transmit data maximum at 100 Mbps and your mobile can process the data at 10 Mbps. Now, what happens when you are downloading a file from the server? What happens? Server starts sending the data at 50 Mbps. Suppose, assume the server started sending the data at 50 Mbps. Now, what it means actually, it is greater than the rate that your mobile can process, right? It is greater than the rate that the mobile can process. So what the mobile phone will do? It makes use of, or it takes the helps of the transport layer to tell the server to slow down the data transmission rate to 10 Mbps so that no data is lost. Understanding? Your mobile informs the server with the help of transport layer to slow down the data transmission rate to 10 Mbps. Understanding? Your mobile can process only at 10 Mbps, but if the server is sending at 50 Mbps, then the data will be lost. So flow control means it controls the amount of data being transmitted. So mobile phones make use of the transport layer to inform the server to slow down the process to 10 Mbps so that no data is lost. Okay, understanding? Yes or no? What is the meaning of flow control? Can anyone answer? Did you understand what is the meaning of flow control?
The amount of data that being transmitted.
Transmitted. What example I told, did you able to understand? Are you able to understand that? What is the exact meaning of flow control? Yes or no? Neeraj. Is Neeraj there? Hello? Neeraj?
Mr. Neeraj illa.
Illa. Okay. Jyotish Undo.
Undo, sir.
Okay, now tell, you understood what the example what I told for flow control?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So similarly, now what happens if the server is sending the data at 5 Mbps? What happens if the server is sending the data at 5 Mbps, right? Now what the transport layer mobile phone will do? It takes the help of the transport layer to inform the server to increase the data rate to 10 Mbps so that the system performance is maintained. So in both ways, it can inform the server either to increase the data transmission rate or to decrease the data transmission rate. So transport layer does that function. So transport layer is responsible for the flow control, or it controls the amount of data being transmitted. Okay, so that is the meaning of flow control. So flow control means transport layer, it controls the amount of data being transmitted. So two functions I told in case of transport layer. One is the segmentation and the other one is the flow control. Now the third function is called it as the error control. Error control means sometimes the message may reach the destination in an incorrect way, or something happens while during the transmission. So what the transport layer will do is it make use of some mechanism. That mechanism is called it as ARQ mechanism, that is automatic repeat request, to retransmit the data. So whenever there is an error during the transmission, transport layer make use of some mechanism. That mechanism is called the ARQ mechanism into ARQ schemes to retransmit the data. Okay, so these are the main important functions of transport layer. So what I told is it receives data from the session layer, and that there it is being divided it into small data units called segments. Now, each of these segments, it consists of a port number, a sequence number, and the data unit. Importance of port number is exactly to which application the data is to be directed. That can be done with the help of port number. Now, sequence number, the messages can be arranged in an order once it reaches the receiver side. And the third one is that is the second function is called it as the flow control. Flow control means the amount. Transport layer helps in controlling the amount of data being forwarded, right? Now the third important function is called it as the error control. Error control means they make use of some mechanisms called the ARQ mechanisms to retransmit the data if some error happens during transmission. Okay. Now you can see just the diagram. What is the exact meaning? Reliable process-to-process delivery of a message. You can see in the diagram. See, I have just told many processes will be running in a machine. So exactly to which process the data must be delivered, and that is taken care by the transport layer. Okay, process-to-process delivery. Understood? Yes or no? What are the functions of? Yes, okay. Now, we will move on to the next layer, that is called it as the third layer, called the network layer. Now, what is the function of network layer? Now, what actually happens? The transport layer, it passes the data to the network layer. Now, network layer is responsible for the source to destination delivery of a packet, possibly across multiple networks. So it is not compulsory that your destination or the receiver will stay along in a single network where the center is. Maybe it will be in a different network. So network layer takes care of sending the message across multiple networks. It works for the transmission of received data segments from one computer to another computer that is located in a different network. Okay. Now the data unit in network layer, you can call it as a packet. Understanding? The data unit. So each layer you will be making use of some notation to identify the data unit. So in network layer, the data unit is called it as the packets. Okay. Now it is the layer where the routers reside. Now the main functions of this network layer is logical addressing and routing. The specific responsibilities of the network layer are logical addressing and routing. Now, what is this logical addressing? Logical addressing means IP address, if it is done in the network layer, it is called logical addressing. IP address means every computer in a network is identified with a unique ID. So that ID is called as the IP address. Now, network layer assigns the sender and the receiver IP address to each segment to form an IP packet. Understanding? It has received the data from the transport layer. Now, what the network layer will do is it will attach the IP address of both the source host as well as the destination host to form an IP packet. So that data unit in the network layer is called as the IP packet. Okay. So every system is identified with a unique IP address, and that IP address is attached with the data unit once it is coming from the transport layer. Now this IP address ensures that each packet reaches the correct destination. Okay, so this with the help of this IP address, you can ensure that each packet reaches the correct destination. Okay. Now, the second function of the network layer is routing. Now, what is routing? Routing means moving the data from source host to the destination host. That is the routing method. Okay. Now, other than this, you have got path determination also. See, you can have many number of paths to reach the destination. Now, path determination means it will select which is the best possible path that I have to take to reach the destination. As an example, you will be having different routes to go to a place. So which is the best way to reach that destination? And that is done with by the network layer. Okay. So network layer is responsible for the source to destination delivery of each packet. And its functions includes logical addressing and routing. See, you can see just the diagram, what it exactly means. So I have just told in a letter analogy as a letter case. Now, suppose if it reaches your destination, see, source to destination delivery, that is taken care by the network layer. So here you can just see source to destination delivery from where I have started and from where you have to end it. And through many different nodes, you might be reaching the destination. So each packet should reach the destinations, and that responsibility is taken care by the network layer. Okay. Now, so I have written a letter to my cousin. If that letter reaches my cousin's house, up to there, the network layer takes care of that. Okay. Through via different routes, it can reach, and so there it be selecting which is the best path to reach that destination. So all these functions. Now, how I'll be making use of? I'll be having the IP address with me, or I will have the home address, and by making use of all that, it reaches the destination. Okay, so two important functions and two important layers I have told. One is the transport layer and the network layer. Transport layer is responsible for the process-to-process delivery. Letter has reached my cousin's house, but if it is reaching to my cousin, if the letter is in my cousin's hand, ensuring that, and that function is done by the transport layer. Reaching to the house, it is the function of the network layer. Okay, understanding what are the different functions of these two layers? One is the transport layer and the other one is the network. Okay, now the third layer is called, the next layer is called it as the data link layer. Data link layer, it receives the packet from the network layer. Okay, it receives the packet from the network layer. Now this data packet, what it contains now? It contains the IP address of the sender and the receiver. Now, what the data link layer will do is it will add physical address along with the data. Physical address means the link address or the node address. Okay, or you can call it as the MAC address. So different names I told: physical address or the link address or the node address or the MAC address. So that is attached, that is assigned to each data packet that is received from the network. I told data unit in network layer, you can call it as an IP packet, and the IP packet is assigned with a MAC address by the data link layer. And the whole package, now it is called it as the frame. The whole packet is called it as frame now. So different names are there for the data unit. A data link layer, that entire data unit is called it as frame. Network layer, what it was known? It was known as packet, right? For data link layer, in addition to the IP address, you have got each link address or the MAC address or the physical address, and that entirely forms the frame. Okay, actually this MAC address, it is a 12-digit code that is embedded in your network interface card. Now you have got different functions in data link layer also, the same function what it is done in the transport layer. That is flow control, error control, access control. You will be studying in detail in the second module what are the functions of the data link layer. Now you just understand it does the physical addressing. I told the framing is nothing but the data unit is known as frames in the data link layer. Okay. Now it attaches the MAC address along with the packet that is received from the network layer. And it also does the flow control mechanisms and the error control mechanisms. Now, access control in the sense if many number of devices are connected, now who has got the chance to transmit at a particular time? And that function is done by the data link layer. Okay, so this is just an example. See, I am having a node address called 10 and I have to transmit the data to the node 87. So that whole two addresses will be specified in the frame. You have a trailer, you have the data, and you have 10 and 87. 10 is nothing but the source address and 87 is the destination address. Okay, so data link layer, it assigns MAC address to each packet what it is receiving from the network layer. Now you can see the diagram, what it exactly means actually. Okay, so you have a device A and your destination is device F. Now you have got many intermediate nodes. Now you have the connection from you have intermediate nodes that is marked as B, E, and C. Okay. Now I have selected which path I have to go, and hope to hope delivery or node to node delivery. That is the responsibility of the data link layer. Hope means to which is the next stop I have to take care of. There you will have a physical address as well as a logical address. Okay, so each node will have that. So I have started from here from Kannur. I have to reach Alappuzha, means through different ways I can transmit. I have selected the best path and which is the next nearing station to that. So that is taken care by the data packet should reach the next destination, immediate neighbor or immediate node, you can tell. Through different nodes only your data will be transmitting. So which is the next node I have to cross over. So that is determined by the data link layer. So you can call it as the hope to hope delivery. Now from B to E, you have a connection. So that is taken care. Then again E to F. Okay, so the packet may take different paths to reach the destination. So that entire responsibility is done by the network layer. But data link layer, it is responsible for the hope to hope delivery or the node to node delivery of each packet. Understanding, or each frame you can tell. Okay, so 3 layers I have told. One is the transport layer, the other one is the network layer, and the third one is the data link layer. Okay, now the last layer is called it as the physical layer. The lowest layer is called the physical layer. Actually, the data, what is coming from the data link layer, it is, you can call it as a frame, and that will be in the form of zeros and ones. Okay, now what the physical layer will do, it coordinates the function required to transmit a bit stream over the physical medium. Now to which form I have to convert, what type of signal I have to create so that it can be passed through the transmission medium. It is responsible for the movement of individual bits from one hope or node to the next. If I'm making use of optical fiber, or if I'm making use of twisted pair cable, to which format I have to convert my bits. That whole function is done by the physical layer. It is also concerned with other things also. One is the representation of bits. What type of encoding I have to make use of? What is the data rate? How fast I can transmit the data? Whether the sender and the receiver should be synchronized. What is the line configuration? Whether it is a point-to-point connection or it is a multi-point connection. Now, what topology I have to select? Whether it is ring, star, or mesh. And what mode I have to select, whether it is half duplex, full duplex, or simplex. So all these things are decided by the physical layer. Okay, so this is the diagram this is actually what happens when you are sending a message. See, application layer, I have just written a message. That message, let it be hi. Okay, so application layer, what the data from the application layer, it is segmented in the transport layer. And it is placed into packet by the network layer. Placed into packet in the sense you have a source IP as well as a destination IP along with the segment. This is how it takes place. Now, and it is framed by the data link layer. Frame means it consists of the source MAC address, destination MAC address. You have the packet here and you have some error control mechanisms. Okay, the whole thing. And that is nothing but the sequence of zeros and ones. And that will be converted to a suitable signal which can be accepted by the transmission medium, and that is taken care by the physical layer. Okay, now what happens at the receiver side? At the receiver side, the physical layer receives the signal, converted to bits, and passed it to data link layer as frame. Okay. It is passed to the data link layer as a frame. Now, what happens at the receiver side? Decapsulation takes place. That means the data is removed layer by layer. I just told when I told how the interaction happens in an OSI model. Unwrapping takes place. So the meaning is whatever is required for a particular layer, they will remove that and forward the packet. Okay, now this application layer at the receiver side makes the sender's message visible in the screen of the receiver. If two people are communicating, I have just written a word hi. Now, what are the processes taking place at the sender side and the receiver side? Application layer, it is segmented in the transport layer. It has made it into a packet. It has made it into a frame. It is being transmitted. Physical layer, again, it is converted to a form suitable and it reaches the data link layer where it is known as the frame. There decapsulation takes place and finally, once it reaches the application layer, the message is visible in the receiver's screen. Okay, understanding how you are transferring the data from one node to the other, from a sender node to a destination. Understood this much? I have told the functions of 4 layers today. One is the transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and the physical layer. Transport layer ensures the process-to-process delivery. Network layer ensures the source-to-destination delivery. Data link layer ensures the node-to-node delivery or hope-to-hope delivery. Okay, now physical layer is concerned. Now, what type of signals you have to create, all that synchronization, the transmission mode, that all will be done by the physical layer. Understood? What are the different layers we have discussed today? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, yes. So as a summary, I can just tell the first layer, the 7th layer, what I told is the application layer, to allow access to the network resources. That is done by the application layer. Now, presentation, it translate, encrypt, and compress the data. Now, session layer, it establishes, manages, and terminate the sessions. Now, transport, it provide reliable process-to-process message delivery and error recovery. Now, network, it moves packet from source to destination to provide internetworking. And data link to organize bits to frames or to provide hope-to-hope delivery, and physical to transmit bits over the medium to provide the mechanical and the electrical specification. Okay, so this is very, very important. You have to just remember what are the functions of each layer. You should not get confused with what are the functions of each layer? Transport layer, you're writing the session layer function means it will be wrong. So you should be understand each and everything, what are the independent functions of each layer. Okay, understood this much? Kavya?
Yes, miss.
Yes, okay. Now today only you just go read the textbook nicely, then you can better understand all these concepts. Okay. Now, 1 more hour I have got, I think by 12:10. So you have a break at that time, I think 1, 2, 3, 4. So exactly join by 12:05 only. Okay. You should not create a delay in joining that class. And I have to cover 2 more topics. Now, after finishing that, I'll be conducting a quiz I have just told in the last class. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
Okay.
Thank you.